Hello and good evening. Welcome to the sacred cycle of a woman. I'd like to start tonight with an invitation. An invitation. Woman, you are powered by nature, and you might not know. You sit on a gold mine, and you might not know. Your blood is gold, and you might not know. You are extremely powerful, and you might not know. All you need to do is wanting to know. Have an open mind and listen. Listen to your heart and trust your womb. Are you ready to become a tool for radical change? Are you ready to discover yourself? You might be, and you don't know yet. Are you open? Are you willing? Are you ready for life? All you need to do is follow your blood trail. Become an investigator of life. I invite you to become the woman of the 21st century. A woman who is grounded in her body, who feels beautiful by being herself, who acts with confidence in life, because she knows her value. Blessings. Thank you so much for joining me tonight for this shorter talk that I'm going to hold, titled The Sacred Cycle of a Woman. I would like to start by saying a big thank you to Cassandra Ducheneau for inviting me to be part of this wonderful online festival of the Healing Hearts, celebrating Litha, or celebrating the summer solstice. So thank you so much, Cassandra, for inviting me being part of this wonderful bunch of wonderful healers. And I also would like to thank each and every one of you who tonight is deciding to stay up late to listen to my words. And some of you might be curious. Some of you might listen and watch this live later on, maybe because they want to learn something new. Because in fact, life is all a discovery. Every day we learn something new. So I am not sure if what I'm going to share with you tonight is something new to you or not. I would like to invite you anyway to listen with an open mind and with an open heart, because it's when we listen with an open heart and mind that maybe something new can be planted in our soul. So I want to take you tonight on a journey with me. and I hope you are adventurous. Well, it's not going to be dangerous, but sometimes new ideas might feel dangerous to some of us, or maybe something we haven't thought about before might feel at first challenging. So I would like to ask you, as I will be here with an open heart sharing with you my wisdom, I would like to ask you to please listen with open ears and an open heart. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is something that possibly the majority of us should have heard a long, long time ago. But we didn't. So I would have wanted in an ideal world that my mother or some of the older women of my family had shared with me many, many years ago, when I was still in my teens, this simple knowledge. But it didn't happen. So along those lines of the inheritage or channel, there was a hiccup, and so I wasn't made part of this simple knowledge that could have helped me a lot in my life. I came to know a part of what I'm going to share with you tonight in my 40s. So it was well much later than my teens. And when I discovered all this, I realized that it would have been so magnificent and so handy to have known all this much earlier on. But it didn't happen. And so I'm here tonight to do my bit and my best in sharing with you this simple knowledge that nevertheless is very, very powerful. Now, I am a woman, so I would have wanted to have known this stuff, maybe handed down through my mother. But this talk is going to be for men too, not just for women. So I want to talk to you as well. And possibly I won't be very far from the truth, saying that maybe you, all those magnificent men that are listening to me right now, you might have not heard anything when you were a young boy from your mother explaining to you the mysteries of a woman's body. Again, for you, possibly it would have been very handy to have this knowledge I'm going to share with you tonight back then, because it would have helped you in seeing the other half of the universe living on the planet Earth as something less mysterious. Maybe you would have had a bit more ease in communicating with the women you encountered in your life. But it didn't happen. Maybe at times you might have felt that you were just walking on eggshells, or maybe you've done something wrong or said something wrong, not really knowing why. Was it really that you said something wrong? So tonight I really hope that I can shed some light for both women and men on this subject, the mystery of a woman's body and her sacred cycle. One reason why you and I might have not heard much about this information It's possibly because there's been an intention that has been going on for a few thousands of years of repressing whatever is connected to the feminine. Obviously, anything concerning what relates to women. So we have been ruled by patriarchy, which is the rule of men, for a few thousands of years. And so it might not be a chance or a case that this simple information and knowledge has been repressed and disregarded, maybe even considered dangerous. So something that it would have been much better to keep aside or pushed away. But now we are in very changing times. I'm sure that I don't have to explain to you why. You might have realized it lately. And because of the nature of the times we are going through, all of us in any part of the globe, I think it's really important to find things that are natural or universal laws that we can cling to when everything is going down the drain and from one day to the next one we don't really know if it's going to be still valid or not. To have something to hang on is something that it really helps our human psyche, the way we operate, our mind. So going through such troubled waters at the moment, I think it's extremely relevant to consider what I'm going to share with you in a minute. So, I was mentioning universal laws, and I give you some examples, like, for instance, the law of gravity. Yin and yang, the principles that are called yin and yang in the Eastern cultures, which are basically the two principles that are ruling in this universe. For instance, it could be feminine and masculine instead of calling them yin or yang. It could be like day and night. So you might think, well, this is very basic. Yes, I know it's basic, but nature is. But nature is very successful and effective. So we might not be misled by simplicity of nature. Nature is reliable, is simple and reliable. Humankind is not, especially at the present time. So to go back to basic simplicity, I think it's a very good idea. So, from a woman's perspective, you might have growing up, or even just at the moment, in your normal life, you might have noticed that sometimes life is very, very easy and things fall into place, and some other times it just doesn't go right, and it seems that your body wants something, but your mind has a different agenda, or your life might not permit to follow the impulses of your body or the needs of your body. And well, there is a reason for this, and the reason is exactly in what I'm going to talk about, which is the sacred cycle of a woman. And from a man's perspective, I mentioned it earlier. You might have noticed that at times you can have a wonderful, intimate relationship with the other half of your life, your partner, your spouse, and other times it just doesn't work out. And whatever you say, it seems that is wrong or doesn't reach the destination. So, how come? I'm sure you might have asked yourself, what's wrong with me? Or what's wrong with her? Well, there's nothing wrong with either of you. It's just that maybe there is some lack of information. So, nature, I just said earlier, is very basic, simplistic, and works generally in cycles. And cycles tend to be like up and downs, going in circles, things come back, like the seasons every year. There are rhythms that are repeated, and by the repetition of these rhythms, life happens and can thrive and can unfold and evolve. Nothing really, almost nothing in nature is linear, is straight. Everything tends to be curved, to be in circle, right? So, why is this? Rhythm is important. For instance, if you don't follow your rhythm of circadian rhythm, which is at night you sleep and during the day you are awake and you do things, well, if you are not respecting that rhythm, you will feel like a wreck, and you can't be in operative mode for long. You might cope with it if you're young, maybe a few days without sleeping, but after a few days you are starting really losing it. And your health also will have a toll to pay. So this is exactly what happens when a woman who's got an inner cycle built in her body. This, I call it the sacred cycle. So if a woman doesn't synchronize herself, her life, with this sacred cycle, with this rhythm that has been inbuilt in her by nature, well, there will be some problems on the way, sooner or later. Like it happens every single time we don't respect nature. Nature knows best. So we'll always find a way to remind us that if we are doing well, doing good or not. And generally is when we follow the natural rhythms that we are doing well. So there's always a price to pay if we want to be healthy and we want to go against these rhythms. These rhythms are part of nature, and we are part of nature too. So we can't do without them. It doesn't work that way. There's always a price to pay. And besides, nature knows how to impose those rhythms and defend them. So in a woman's body, if her cycle is not respected, she will have sooner or later some health problems, health issues that also, of course, are not just for her health. There will be some emotional and psychological difficulties, because we are a very complicated being. So we are not just our body. Our body is connected with our emotional body and our mind, our mental body. So we are all intimately like a bowl, that like an onion that has different layers. And so all these layers for an onion to be able to grow and become a normal, well-grown up onion, has to have all the layers in place that evolve and they grow at the same time. So we don't want to pay the price of being sick, and I assume that all of us wants to be happy too, and possibly have harmonious relationships. And as we live in a society where we are women and men, the best thing to have harmonious relationship is obviously to follow what nature gave us. And so I am going now to tell you what this sacred cycle of a woman is. Now, you can also call it female cycle, or you can also call it menstrual cycle. It's up to you, the way you prefer. But the way that nature has built in a woman's body the cycle is actually, there are different reasons. The simplest one is it gives the possibility for a woman to be fertile and to procreate, so to give birth. This is the basic reason for nature to do this. We know nature wants to survive, so obviously survival of the species is number one. But there are very interesting aspects of this cycle that actually are emotional, are psychological, and they are spiritual. So without further ado, let's go on this journey so that you can understand a bit better what I mean with all this. So, a woman's body during the fertile years, during the month, goes through 4 stages or 4 phases or 4 different states. To give you an idea of the energies of these stages, these phases, I would like to bring an analogy, because a simple one, because it will give you a better idea of what I mean. So, the cycle of a woman during the month is similar or comparable to the cycle of the season in a year. So we have 4 seasons, we all know them, is spring, summer, autumn, and winter. During these seasons, we experience different types of weathers, different types of temperatures, landscapes, and so forth. Imagine that in a woman's body, every month, this is exactly what happens. So let's go and explore a bit those 4 seasons. So let's start from the week that a woman goes into after she has finished bleeding. So this phase in physical terms is called pre-ovulatory phase. And this week, during this week, a woman goes into an energy which is like the energy of spring. And during this week, a woman also experiences the archetype of the maiden. So what does it mean, all this? Well, during this week, a woman is really full of energy. She feels like when she's very young and so full of enthusiasm, full of energy, and she starts new projects, or she go on with the project she has, but her energy is really going out into the world. And so she's very communicative, she's very passionate, she's very doing, she's a doer. Her energy is very masculine because it's very active. We can call this type of energy like a solar energy. And the characteristics or the experiences she has during this week is an experience of like a maiden, a very young woman, like the virgin type of archetype. She's full in herself, in her world. So she goes out into the world and go and conquers it. The second week, it's the week of the ovulatory phase, and is comparable to summer, like it's starting now. So the summer energy, we all know it, it's a very expanding, abundant energy. It's a time when we are at the most social, because the weather encourages us to be that way. So a woman becomes really outgoing, and she says yes to everything. Everything is doable, is no problem. She says yes to everything, and she goes for it. She feels abundant, she feels Wonder Woman. So the archetype of this week is the archetype of the mother. Very nurturing, very active, very pleasant, very wonderful, I would say. So she feels like the potent of the mother of mothers. Nothing is too much trouble. So the following week, she goes into a different type of energy, because she goes into autumn. So autumn is a season where the woman experiences her premenstrual phase. This is the physical term for this week. Now, during autumn, the wheel starts to turn. So the temperature starts to cool down. So we tend to start changing our activities. And a woman during this week does exactly the same. So if the previous week she was all yeses for everybody, now she starts experiencing the archetype of the queen. So the archetype of the queen is an energy which is quite different. It's an energy of authority. It's a person who knows what she's doing, where she's going. During this week, a woman starts to slow down, and she starts reviewing because all the activities that she has started during her spring, now she wants to bring them to an end. Remember, in autumn, the energy we have, it's very much rallying all the produces before winter comes, right? So we have a limited amount of time, and we have to do a certain amount of activities. So we have to go on with our program, right? This is exactly what happens for a woman during that week. The queen knows, the queen dictates, and she starts saying no's. It's not yes all the time. It's an energy that starts to be more feminine. It's an energy of nurturing, taking care of oneself, start seeing more realistic, start seeing what works and what doesn't work. So her inner authority comes to the forefront of her experience. That's why she starts saying no. And then the following week, she enters into winter, the menstrual phase. And this is a very, very magical phase for a woman. It's a time, like in winter, that one withdraws, stays more indoor, and one wants to sleep more, to rest more, because the 3 previous weeks have been highly energetic, and now it's time for a very well-deserved rest. So, during this week, besides slowing down even more, a woman starts experiencing the archetype of the sage, of the seer, of the psychic, of, maybe you want to call it, of the crone. It's an energy of a woman who knows that she doesn't belong entirely to this world. So she starts communicating with other dimensions. Her dreaming patterns becomes very, very active. She can experience very symbolic dreams. She has a lot of more communication with her unconscious mind. So this stage is a stage that was revered in many cultures, in many civilizations before ours. It was the time when women were worshipped, respected, and them taking time out was seen as an important job to do. We, in our society, we definitely lost this awe, this sense of the wonder, this sense of the mystery for life. We lost it. And instead, we expect women to be available all the time, to be the same all the time, to be saying yes all the time. But from this very short explanation of the 4 seasons, can you see that this is not possible? We can't be available all the time. It's okay to change our mind. And we have different needs that not just our body, but also our psyche needs to satisfy. So, if we can look at this cycle, which is a sacred cycle, with the awe that our ancestors used to look at, if we can gain back a bit of that awe for the mystery of life, so we would understand that this journey that a woman goes on every month is something to be respected, is something to be followed. So if a woman can follow her needs during the month, she will flow more easily in her life, and she will be more productive. Because in fact, in every single week, she is very good at different things. So, by doing different activities every week, she will be, at the end of the month, have produced actually possibly more than just doing the same thing every day. But this is what our society expects from us. So then you might think, okay, well then if you are in a woman's body, you need to follow this cycle. Yes, it would be highly appreciated. And women would gain in health. But also for men, don't you think that being in sync with this natural rhythm, with this natural cycle, don't you think that life would flow better? Because even if you're a man and you might not obviously have a similar cycle, you might have others, I am not sure, but I'm in a woman's body, so I can talk about the sacred cycle of a woman. But can't you see that during these different weeks, life would be much more sustainable if you could sync your life within natural rhythm of the sacred cycle of a woman? Especially if you are in an intimate relationship with a woman, from a man's point of view, knowing that what your woman goes through every month, it's very advantageous for you to be able to communicate with her in an appropriate way. Also, you might suggest doing certain things rather than others. You can easily maybe understand that if a woman is in a winter, might not want to go out on a rave all night long. Whereas if you suggest a big party while she's in spring, she might wholeheartedly say yes to it. So the diversity of the month of a woman is actually a wealth, not just for a woman. It's a wealth for the whole of society if we could go back to a normal, more natural rhythm. So, how can a woman maximize this cycle that happens in her body every month? Well, the thing that I suggest is for a woman to track her cycle, because by doing that she will learn a lot about herself. Obviously, she can explore her experiences as much as she wants or as little as she wants. But tracking her cycle on a daily basis, even for a few months, she will start seeing the pattern, and she will start seeing how to organize her life, according to this cycle, and how much easier it would be to do in this way. Okay, sometimes we can't change everything according to our wants and needs in our life. Yes, that's true. A woman can be anything every day if she wants to, or if she needs to. But can you see that if the cycle is ignored, repressed, and considered as something to be ashamed of, as it's been so far, can you see that on the long run a woman will unconsciously keep repressing this all the time, and sooner or later there will be a price to pay. Physical, but not just physical, it will be emotional, and it will be psychological too. A woman who is not feeling great in her body and doesn't feel empowered is going to have a tremendous effect on the rest of society, because a woman is a mother, it's a partner, it's a colleague, can be, obviously these days we are very active in society, and we do all sorts of jobs. So can you see how important it is for a woman to be healthy and feel right? So just the simple knowledge of the cycle for any woman, it will be such a peace of mind, because she will understand that she is not so crazy, that what she feels is actually something that needs to be validated, not repressed and ignored. I have a vision, and tonight I would like to share it with you. Because to have one vision is one thing, but if we don't share it, we can't make it a reality. And so I want to share it with you tonight. I want to share with you my vision of the woman of the 21st century. Here it goes. The woman of the 21st century is the woman of the next generation. She is beautifully strong. She acts according to her soul purpose. And because of that, she is irresistibly magnetic and engages in empowering relationships with men and women. She gives birth every day to her reality. She pays attention to her feelings, and her feelings guide her to create what she wants. She does it through relationships that help her to discover more about herself. Relationships are her tool in the playground of life. Her feelings are her strength. They complement her intellect. They are a precious source of inner guidance. She is clear about her vision and purpose. Therefore, she is a beautiful inspiration. How does she do all this? She is in contact with her womb. She is aware of her cycle. She acts following her energetic flow. She elegantly flows in the river of life, guided by herself, her center. This makes her a magnet, a beacon of inspiration rather than perspiration. Do you like the picture? Does it sound enticing? Does it make you feel good? I can smell the scent of this woman. Life for this woman tastes great. So I would like to thank you for having listened to my message and about the sacred cycle of woman. And even if it's a basic cycle with a basic rhythm, I hope that knowing that this is what goes on in the temple of a woman every month, it will inspire you on a journey of self-discovery, and it will inspire you when you don't have enough inspiration, and it will shed some light when in your life you are out of sync and you don't understand things any longer, and especially it will spur you as a woman on a journey of self-discovery. Because yes, if you follow your cycle, you will understand and discover so much more about yourself. Basically, you will discover the 4 different women you are every month. For men, I hope that this knowledge will help you to respect women more. It's a hell of a journey every month, I can tell you that, to go through all these energies all the time. And I also hope that for a man, as a man, you might be triggered to ask more questions when you don't understand, because that's okay. It's okay to ask. And I'm sure that the women you will be dealing with, they will be more than happy to answer your question. And also, I really hope that this knowledge will help you to appreciate more the mystery of life, because even if science in the last century or so has evolved, has progressed a huge amount, and is giving us more and more explanations about natural phenomena, this doesn't mean that we have to disrespect the mystery of life, because it is a mystery at the end of the day. Nobody really knows why we are here and why certain things are in a certain way. So I hope that knowing that a woman has a sacred cycle will help you to reflect more about life and its mysteries. So thank you very much for being with me tonight, and if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. You can put them in the box or underneath the live, and I will answer them. Also, in case you have questions that you might find out you want to ask me later on, because you might listen, watch the recording of this, you can ask me any question either through my website, which is flyinspiration.com, or through my social media or here on Facebook, no problem. So please do ask me whatever you want, don't be shy, and I really hope I inspire you a bit. I hope I shed some light on the summer solstice about something so natural as the sacred life cycle of a woman. So thank you very much, and I hope to have the pleasure to maybe inspire you and share my knowledge again in the future.